Namaste everybody. Welcome to this session of International Science Fiction Conference 2020. I am Sapna Katti, science fiction writer from Pune. Many of my stories and poems on social themes have been published in almost all the magazines of Karnataka. Also, being an electronics postgraduate, science fiction has been my all-time priority and passion. My story, Yantra, won a special prize in Deepavali Katha Spardha in 2018, organized by Karmavira, an eminent Kannada magazine. It's a great privilege and honor to introduce today's chairperson, Shweta Taneja. Shweta Taneja is a best-selling speculative fiction author from India, most known for her series Anantya Tantrist Mysteries. Her short story, The Daughter That Bleeds, translated to French, was a finalist in the prestigious Grand Prix de l'Imaginary 2020 and received the Editor's Choice Award in Asia. Her graphic novel, Krishna, Defender of Dharma, is part of the must-read list in government schools across India. She is a Charles Wallace Fellow and prolifically voices her passion for Asian feminist and diverse science fiction and fantasy. She has been invited to give talks at Cartoon Museum London, Worldcon and Eurocon, among others. She is currently working on releasing a book on Indian scientists, also writing an interplanetary adventure based in the Indian ethos. You can find her lurking online through her handle @Shweta Writes. Today's science fiction narrators are all college-going young girls. Not only that, it's heartwarming to notice that all of them are English language students. It is such a pleasure to see that they're interested in a genre so alien to their academic curriculum. First presenter of this session is Miss Hinduja MS. She is a second-year BA English student from Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women, Salem, Tamil Nadu. The story, Mission George and the Zain, is co-authored and co-narrated by Yogeshwari S. and Vijayashri T., both again from Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women. The name of the story itself fills us with curiosity, isn't that? So put your hands together to listen to this brilliant story, Mission George and the Zain by Yogeshwari and Vijayashri. The next set of science fiction enthusiasts are Dharini D and Shobia P. Both are doing their graduation in English from Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women, Salem, Tamil Nadu. The name of the story is Communication with Thalis. So what's this interesting story is all about? Please welcome Dharini D and Shobia P and know for yourself. Our next narrator is Sapna Anandan. She is doing her post-graduation in English in Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women in Salem, Tamil Nadu. She writes poems, she writes stories. This multi-talented girl's writings are just waiting to be published yet. So let's welcome very versatile storyteller Sapna Anandan with her story Mission Human. V.S. Pavitra is doing her graduation in English in Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women from Salem, Tamil Nadu. Apart from being a short story writer and a poetess, she is a court writer also. Her story got published in International e-Journal, the Literary Herald, in April 2018. So please welcome this multifaceted writer V.S. Pavitra with her scintillating story, Brushing, Coding, Fighting. Next, let me introduce Hemapriya, Guga A and Arunya P, all studying BA English in Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women, Salem, Tamil Nadu. They have co-authored and co-narrated the science fiction paper Woe Against Deflowering. So viewers, Get ready to hear this interesting paper read by these young girls. Now, let me introduce our next narrators, M.K. Charulata and V. Deepika, both doing second year graduation in Sri Sharada Autonomous College for Women, Salem. So, listeners, I welcome you to listen to this unique story, Time is Unique, by Charulata and Deepika.
Hello everyone. My warm greetings for all of the conference members present here. I am Yes Yogeshwari, one of the co-authors and the co-narrators of our short story presentation. This is Ms. Hinduja, who is also a co-author and a co-narrator. The third and final co-author of our presentation is T. Vijayashree. Now, our presentation gonna be led by myself and Hinduja. Let's get into the story. Mission, George and the Zane. Every day begins with Zane. He is one in George's family. In this 2085, the Zane-like robots are man-friendly with humans, which is not an exaggerating thing. The robots became one in everyone's family since 2080. At present, Zane is cleaning George's house, who is the protagonist of the story. After dumping his breakfast in his tummy, he accompanies Zane to his dad's research center. He remodels Zane with updated advancement to act according only to his wish or order. His father is the root for man-friendly robots. Using his father's influence, he tries to get approval and license to execute his project mission Zane to the Mars. Unfortunately, some of the Zane's advancements not met with government space requirements. So, now the mission changes into Mission George and the Zane. Unexpectedly, his father's health condition gets critical. In this case, his beloved D'Souza's robot Cassandra looking after George's family too. The main pillar of his mission, D'Souza, and his friend Abhinav, who is working in ISRO, are helping in case of the spacecraft. On January 2086, they start their journey to the Mars with all safety measures and researching equipments. Finally, they place their footprints on the Mars at the end of June 2086. Now, he reveals his true motive of his mission, that is to prove human civilization is possible on Mars. So, he starts his research with all the help of pre-researchers. Because of intolerable cold at night, he gets into the concept of Dyson sphere, which helps to generate heat using solar energy. After completing all his research with Zane, he comes to the conclusion that human civilization is possible. They return to the Earth after 6 months of research on June 2087. Now he discusses all his plans about Dyson sphere, which is also essential for the speedy growth of plants and working of robots on Mars. That is, in order to save time. ISRO tie-ups with George and the crew and spreads this news worldwide. So, many companies come forward to help them financially and their financial background gets stronger. The space shuttle departures from Earth on February 2088 with 10 robots which are going to be supervised by Zane and Cassandra with all the robotic requirements needed.
Meanwhile, Dyson's Bay construction is also on fire, in which NASA plays the vital role. On August 2088, robot shuttle reaches Mars and started doing agriculture, which is also examining by ISRO and the crew. George and D'Souza gifted with a baby boy on December 2088 and they are leading a healthy life. Finally, they started generating solar energy, which is half of the success for their mission of human civilization. Here comes Professor Bumrah, a member in ISRO, accompanies George and Abhinav in their mission to the Mars to check out the ongoing works. On Mars, the first day was going good. The very next day was also started well, but unfortunately, the evening was ruined by the sandy storm which changed everything upside down. Due to storm, George, Abhinav and Professor blew away from the place of their shelter to the long distance. They surprised to see that their clothes are wet due to the presence of lake. Then Zane and Cassandra came in search of them and takes them to their respective place. 2 robots got destroyed, a few robots got dismantled, and the agriculture field spoiled wholly due to the storm. Though the availability of water is an additional positive thing, they returned to the Earth after a week of visit. On October 2090, they reach Earth and George says his decision to ISRO and the crew. He decided to send aeronautical students to Mars to prove that human civilization is possible. ISRO selects one topper student from each base university for the mission. But due to the personal issue, some students refuse to go to Mars. Via conferencing, George and Abhinav explain about the ways to survive in Mars for the 50 finalists. After 3 months of conference, students are getting ready for their departure from the Earth. George, D'Souza and Abhinav reach ISRO for the students' takeoff. After the successful takeoff, ISRO have arranged a ceremony for his victory. George says, even though I am being a main cause for this mission, without you all, this would not be succeeded. Students and all the robots will return after 6 months by proving the civilization. So I declare that it lies upon the respective government's wish in pursuing the civilization. After 6 months, the students safely landed on the Earth and marked the success of the mission. At last, according to D'Souza's favor, George became a distinct person. Now, I thank all of you for your kind listening of our story presentation. Thank you.
A pleasant wishes to everybody, respected sir, madam, and my dear friends. We are Shobya P. and Dharni D. pursuing our English literature in Sri Sharda College for Women's Autonomous, Salem, Tamil Nadu, India.
We are extremely honored to have this beautiful chance to present our short story in this International Science Fiction Conference, The Benevolent Communication with Talis. This city seems to be quite different among the cities in the country. It swivels in the confusion during nights. People are able to see a terrific atmosphere around them after the sun sets. The mystery is revealed to no one in the city. Some believe it as works of witches, few as magic, but not even a single knows what the reason is. For the light that blinks at night in the city. In this advanced world, even in this year, 2050, some mysteries are still mysteries. But this is not going to be the same in this city. Here comes the city named Les Savres, located in the southeast coast of India. People in the city start their routine work as usual, like waking up, getting ready to schools, jobs, and some move in search of daily wages. But this city seems to be different among the other cities. It looks engaged at the peak hours and settle calm during evenings. Yet the question, what happens during the nights, keep pricking in the minds of people. The research is in the process of finding the mystery behind. Even the education system has adopted the study of other planets and the matters that present in it. Here comes twin sisters named Itasha and Natasha studying grade 6, whom had doubt in their studies regarding the other planets and the creatures in it. Thinking about their neighbor Anand as an elderly and knowledgeable person, they asked their doubt to him, but he refused to answer them. The children found his potential and mocked at him. Anand is a person who discontinued his studies in his young age and had no idea to continue the studies or to work. Kripa, younger sister of Anand, stands for him in all his circumstances. Hemalini, Anand's mother, leads a necessitous life as her husband died. As the elder son, Anand doesn't help his family. Meanwhile, his sister Kripa, pursuing her higher studies, also does part-time job to run their life. Although Anand being an innocent guy, he gets angry by the mockery of the twins. He starts to think about his future and the path have to be taken. There the idea strikes his mind about the confusion that's going in their city at night. He starts collecting the information regarding the mystery from the press named Firefly Press, which had some evidence but not yet exposed to the light. Anand analyzes the secret behind the screen and also get help from the experienced scientist Mr. Miraculous. There starts his research in the city, along with many discouragement and obstacles. Many called him mad, brainless fellow, etc. But he didn't respond to any of their word, as he had the only motto to achieve something in this life. Later on, with some thesis and report, he found some creatures roaming in the spacecraft at night in the city. It was the first success of Anand after 10 years of research. Beyond the discouragement and imagination of the people, he also crossed many obstacles given by Juken, who is the student of Mr. Miraculous. He found that UFO used to fly only during nights, where people are rarely to be seen, and the creatures in it are found to be similar like humans, but they doesn't harm the humans. So he gets a new idea to communicate with them. As they travel in a fraction of a second, he couldn't do so. To great extent, he practiced a new method called kinesis, but then he tried all the way to interact with them. He failed each time, but he tried to do. And this time he had a new idea of creating a language translation mission with the help of Mr. Miraculous, and they named Talis Translator. He worked for years and years by facing many failures. At the 25th time, he got success in his work. Now, applying the process is not easy for him. But then he tried a lot and found a day where an alien landed in the city as a response to his voice, and he got astonished because alien was able to hear their own language, and it started searching around from where the sound comes from.
Then found that Anant is the one who speaks to it, and slowly it started to speak with him, and he responded, which could be able to understand by the alien, and the conversation extended long, and they became friends unknowingly by themselves, also by others. Anant named the alien as Talis, and later this was noticed by the people of the city, and they were amazed, and many appreciated him, but still few cursed him. All this happened only by his self-confidence and also with the help of Mr. Miraculous. The alien Talis introduced his friends to Anand, and this lasted a strong bond between the aliens and the people in the city. Finally, in the year 2070, Anand regarded as a scientist of India, and there was a benevolent communication between the alien and the country. It provoked the knowledge of technology and also the economy than any other country in the world. The Chhattisgarh State Department is now planning to have a NASA and ISRO looking into the paintings and see what could be found. This is an image taken by a photographer in the year 1950 holding an injured alien near the White House. Military aspects of Nazca society and the ritual uses of trophy heads in Nazca society depicts the different skulls that has been collected, which some doesn't match with the human skulls. Now let's hear the voice of an alien that has been recorded. Thank you.
Welcome to International Science Fiction Conference 2020, The Mission Human by A. Sapna, 2nd MA English, Sharda College for Women, Autonomous, Salem, Tamil Nadu. The characters: Arjun, the protagonist, an alien born to a human and an alien. Dr. Ajay, he's a doctor and a scientist, helps Arjun. Dr. Riya, she's a heroine of the play. Major Karkar the 12th, the head of the aliens of the land Karkar. Mr. Victor, the antagonist, who is an alien and a person behind the virus B30. The Mission Human. A room shined in color purple for men who, covered fully with the heavy dress like spacemen, ran into the room immediately, calling for the leader to the board. It was too dark for Arjun to see the things around him. He remembers only one thing that keeps on running in his mind: you are an alien in form of human from the land of Karkar on the Mission Human. The door opened, a few men marched in and took them all out. The bright light hit on his face and he covered his face with hands. In that huge room he found many people like him standing naked in mask room. All were separated into various teams in names like AA30 and AB30, etc. All the groups were trained according to the norms of creating the vaccine for the virus B30. The teams were taken to the different parts of the world for the mission to find the vaccine. Arjun's team AS30 stayed back in India and given a separate room far from the laboratory deep into the forest. After 6 months of research in finding a vaccine, failed. Dr. Ajay, who is a scientist and a doctor who is also a friend of Arjun. Few selective members of the team were taken to the hospital to check upon the patients and the changes in their body due to virus B30. Arjun, his head of his team, went along with his members to the hospital. There, he met Dr. Riya, fell in love at first sight. She was as beautiful as the stars in space. Arjun's eyes never moved, just looking at her continuously. She saw him and walked towards him and asked, "I think you're in love with me." "Love? What's that?" he asked. She just laughed and walked away. The next project started. The team were very much involved, but he couldn't take his mind off from the beautiful lady, Dr. Riya. Arjun thinks he's in love with a human. Everything was new, a different feeling it was for him. Arjun heard a voice repeatedly telling him, "Arjun, you're not in love with Riya." But he never pays attention to those words because he is in love with her. At the end of 6th month, the team found a vaccine. It was successful at first but failed at the end. It was very depressing for him to sit and work on a vaccine, doesn't know whether it will work or not. Everyone in the team AS30 seems normal except him. He is very much confused. Arjun took the car to meet Riya. A truck was fast approaching towards him and dashed his car. Arjun could not understand what happened after the accident, but he understood that he is not on earth. He could feel that he is tied in a chair and his eyes are tied with a cloth. A door opens, a person came and untied the cloth. He was in front of the Major Karkar, the head. He questioned him, "How dare you fell in love with a human? You have crossed the norms of Karkar, so you were killed on earth." They brought a mission. A helmet was placed upon his head. A shock was given to him to forget everything about the earth. He could not bear the pain. He fainted. Arjun went unconscious. He stayed where the aliens of Karkar stay. One day he heard a voice, familiar, but he couldn't recognize. It kept on haunting him for days. He ran out to escape from the voice too far and fell into a pond. It's a pond that has Earth's water, and Karkar aliens believe that who jumps into the water will die. But Arjun, who broke their beliefs and came alive. He was taken to Earth to examine how come on Karkar alien land he is alive after jumping into Earth's water. Arjun was examined by Dr. Ajay. Arjun does not remember anything, but Dr. Ajay looks very familiar to him. He was kept in a secured room. He was very much confused with the voice and the doctor. All looks familiar. The next day, Dr. Ajay came to check Arjun and was shocked to find him in the human form. He recognized him and shouted Arjun. But he is confused still and shocked to find himself in human form. Ajay checked his report and he found that he was killed by aliens on Earth and made him to forget everything. Another info was his mother was in jail for marrying a human. Dr. Ajay decided to help him and he took a mission and asked him to stay calm and focus on what he is speaking. He said this mission, which is going to help him now. It is called telepathy mission. This mission helps a person to view another person's mind and visualize the picture. Using this, we can find the truth behind you. Ajay showed him his mother's picture and asked him to visualize a face. Arjun took a deep breath and slowly the power of the mission was increased. It first gives shock and then slowly makes him to view the picture of everything. Arjun could see his mother sitting in a room and by the help of telepathy, He read her memory. The truth behind the reason why he turned human without para-twin technology and why she is in jail. Arjun's mother was an alien sent to Earth for a mission to spread the virus B30. His father, who comes to learn the truth about the aliens and finds the vaccine along with the help of his mother, who fell in love with him later. The vaccine document was given to a woman. The woman looks familiar to him, but he couldn't recognize her face. The effect of shock made him to remember his life on Earth, Dr. Ria, Dr. Ajay. Arjun woke up and said to Dr. Ajay everything behind the mystery to change himself human, and Dr. Ajay was shocked to know the truth. Other alien reporters came and inquired about Arjun. Dr. Ajay told them that Arjun is taken for research and need months to work on him. Later, Arjun left to see Ria. Dr. Ajay asked him that all believed that you were dead and how will you see Ria now? Arjun said that he will handle it. Arjun drew the car to Ria's house and knocked at her door. Ria came out and shouted at Arjun, seeing him alive. Arjun hugged her, saying, I had to hide for a reason and now I am back again. She was totally confused and he said being an alien is not easy. She was convinced and happy to see him alive. He found his memory as a photo hung upon the walls. A picture which grabbed his attention. It was Ria's mother. She is the one to whom Arjun's father gave the report of the vaccine. Arjun asked her about her mother. She said she died when she was 2 years old. But she remembers that her father used to tell her about her mother. She was a scientist and had a laboratory in her old house. Arjun immediately took Ria to the old house. She was confused and asked the question, why are we here? He replied her that he will explain everything later and asked her to help him now. They searched everywhere but helpless. She took Arjun downstairs but found nothing, sat down in depression. How and where will I find that? Shouted Arjun. He was very much obsessed with it. A rack was about to fall. He pushed her aside to save. They found an old door was hidden behind the rack. Ria bought a huge hammer. With that, he slammed the door opened. It is a laboratory fully equipped with glass tubes and chemicals, and they searched everywhere and finally found a box that looks very different in the lab. They tried opening the box but failed. Ria found the box an alphabetical puzzle. Arjun tried Karan Dante, his father's name, and the box opened. Arjun took those documents and called Ajay and informed him about the document. Ajay asked Arjun to bring the document along with him to the head office of Human and Alien Organization to meet the head of the organization, Mr. Victor, before he signs the project V3030. The project B3030 is a contract between the aliens and humans. Due to the virus B30, many humans died and the world's population is decreased to its half of the population. So, aliens and humans signed a contract where the aliens will be sent in the form of human through para-twin technology. This technology transfers an alien into human. The land Karkar where aliens live. The aliens will help humans in finding the vaccine on Earth. So this contract expiring now and they are about to sign the contract again to continue because the vaccine is not yet found. Arjun holding the document of vaccine which his father found. Ajay and Arjun were waiting at the Human and Alien Organization. They were called in and asked to wait for Mr. Victor. A paper flipped on Arjun's face. It was a lens bill in name Mr. Victor. He entered. Arjun talked about the vaccine. They found that this is a virus which causes a person blind and causes breathing problem and attacks the heart directly and the person die. This vaccine Dante, recovers eyes step by step followed by the lungs. He requests him if the vaccine is approved by the government to proceed it on affected humans, it will be a great success to the humankind. Time to think about it. Suddenly his assistant entered with a heavy perfume on. Arjun could not sit because Karkar aliens are allergic to concentrated perfumes which will irritate their eyes and nose, but he managed. Mr. Victor starts to rub his eyes and nose continuously. Arjun saw Victor's eyes were purple and the false lens moves away. It was shocking to him, but he never reacted, stayed calm. Arjun found him suddenly adjusting his length. Mr. Victor approved Arjun and Dr. Ajay to start the process of the vaccine. Arjun found the truth that he acted as a human hiding the truth from the world. They both started to work on vaccine and sent the details of the vaccine to all parts of the world to help the infected peoples. People started to recover one by one around the world. When everything went well, a call made everything upside down. A call from Dr. Ajay's friend. He informed him that a secret mission is marked against Ajay and Arjun to shoot them at the spot. He called Arjun immediately and informed him about the secret mission pointed towards them with a shooting order. Arjun knows the reason behind this mission and he told him that he will handle everything. Mr. Victor is an alien who's on Earth in form of human to bring the humankind under the control of aliens. He finds the vaccine.tech cures the affected people totally, and if this happens, human will no need the help of aliens and will be independent. So he decided to shoot Arjun and Ajay and to destroy their factory by bringing his army of Karkar of aliens to the land of Earth and to point the people to death, to bring them all under his control. The huge spaceships assembled in the sky, pointing huge light on the humans. They started to shoot the light upon the people. This light is called light transport. It points on a set of people. They disappear to different planets and die because of insufficient oxygen. This happened under the governor of Mr. Victor, the head of Karkar alien. Arjun entered the city and shouted the truth about Mr. Victor, which is unknown to the world. The army assembled there to point Arjun and Dr. Ajay to death, where Mr. Victor came as if he doesn't know what's happening. But everyone turned against him after Arjun's speech. The jet called away Arjun started to spray heavy concentrated perfumes in air, which caused all aliens to faint, and spaceship crashed upon the buildings, which was evacuated in prior by Dr. Ajay. Arrested every alien and shifted to a very secure place. But Mr. Victor was missing. The planned mission carried by Mr. Victor failed and he disappeared and found nowhere around the space. After a year, Arjun and Ajay were happy to hear the news. The people are back into normal life. But still Mr. Victor is missing and the land Karkar is now empty and aliens are missing including Arjun's mother. Mr. Victor is too far from the search of Arjun. His plan may fail but yet his belief that success is not too far. Arjun speaks to himself that Mr. Victor might not be visible now, but one day he had to come out to the ground of war waiting. Thank you.
Hello everyone, warm greetings to all. I am VS Pavitra here to narrate my story, Brushing, Coding, Fighting. In just 2 hours of time, the rituals of our wedding will commence. Where are you? A text from Avaira flashed. Before answering Avaira, I got a call from Field Marshal. Chavik, you are needed immediately. Enemies started to attack us. FM shouted at me. I must go there. No one can replace me because I am the general and the scientist who invented the tree soldiers. Telling it to myself, I chose to go to the army office first and then to my wedding. I fixed my focal travel device in my ear, and within a few seconds I landed at the army office. The place is fully tensed and technicians are working fast in the underground with the damaged soldier trees. In each hole, 3 soldier trees are set up vertically, and when one is damaged, it will come down for repair and the next one will emerge on the battlefield. Oh my gosh, my children are wounded. I'm literally crying as a father of soldier trees. On my concern, Jay, my AI assistant, starts replying to Avira's message. It sends, got an emergency call from FM, will be there soon. After reading the message, Avira becomes very much worried, thinking whether a wedding will happen in the fixed time or not. So she quoted, got crazy? Today's our wedding date. Are you gonna turn it down? Jay, in my name, called and replied, definitely I will marry you, Avaira. Hope you're serving only water. As I programmed my voice and texting style, it's easy peasy for Jay to act like me. Why is he tickling me now? As I shouted, I let out Dr. Deepak from my wristwatch. Then he evolved to a normal human size from that miniature size. No one knows about the presence of Dr. Deepak here. I traveled back to the past to catch him as some of his important theories and experiments on aliens were lost as centuries passed by. I just want to know as theories on aliens to save the earth and importantly my country from the aliens. If you cooperate with me, I will send you back to where you belong, or else endure the torture of spending your whole life in my wristwatch. I threatened him. Of course, I help you. After all, it is our country and our planet, he said in accepting tone. He also doesn't want to be a slave of aliens. I heard all your conversations. Actually, I want to know the reason for serving only water on your special day. Is that Jay's mistake or your instruction itself? It's a wartime. I can't waste my time for answering your silly questions. I roared at him. My Jay is always sensible. As a respect to Dr. Deepak and to justify my behavior towards a renowned scientist of the past, Jay starts to answer Deepak. He played a hologram clip to Dr. Deepak. After depicting the clip, Jay asks Dr. Deepak to tell something about the clip. After watching the video clip, Dr. Deepak says the two who were talking something funny were twins and the third one is a humanoid robot. The first one is a human and the one in the middle is a cloned humanoid robot, which has the same characteristics, behaviors, and emotions as of its human model. The third one is a normal humanoid robot, Jay explains. Deepak is awestruck after seeing a cloned machine robot, which has all the characteristics of a human except for the real bones and skin. The cloned machine robots have all the vices, virtues, and behaviors of its human model. Dr. Deepak is confused about the connection between Jay's explanation and his "why only water" question. So he asks, what is the connection between my question and this? Are you crashed, Jay, or any loops in your code? Jay unmutes some laughing sounds and continues, mostly all the rich people have cloned humanoid robots and uses it when they want to save the communal relationships by attending meetings, conference and other functions. And those cloned humanoid robots used to charge themselves with hydroelectric energy. In common, humans and these robots can drink only water, and the purpose of serving water alone is to avoid embarrassment of humanoid robot guests as it replaces the presence of those persons who got held up in something else. Deepak's awestruck gets wider. My soldieries are facing more damages as the enemies are using weapons which is of the combination of diamond, laser rays, and I am confused in planning counterattack, but suddenly something flashed in my mind. I called FM to ask for permission. FM, it's the time to use it. Can I have an order on sound waves? Okay, General, go on. Seems like it's the time for it. I got the permission from FM. On the consent of FM, all the soldier trees got settled underground and speakers raised on the battlefield. In addition to my scientific knowledge, I have special knowledge on psychology and neuroscience too. I set the sound ratio and covered the army office with double layer advanced soundproof glasses to protect us. On the other side, our wedding will commence in just 5 minutes. Avaira started to program architectural designs to provide the settings of beach, forest, wooden houses, and mountains. Marriage is in just 5 minutes, and I don't hope Shavik will be on time. Avaira murmurs to herself and takes action. She informs the marriage officer about the change in time and chose another auspicious time, which falls 2 hours later. Then she takes the open hall for rent, which is at the backside of the marriage office, and that is so big with 5 acres of open land. She inserts the programmed flash disk in the system, and a flexible 3D melting glass substance emerged as shaped in the program along with the preferred colors. After forming the shape, the melting glass substance froze. Now it is as strong as the real object. In the beach area, the substance is still melting and is in liquid state to appear like water. In the sand area, the substance has broken like the grains of real sand. In forest wooden house, the glass substance shaped into trees, wooden houses, and as plants. In the mountain settings, it turned as Hard Rock Mountain along with a small lake. Dear guests, thank you all for accepting our wedding invitation and gracing the occasion with your presence. Our wedding is delayed due to the war. I'm sorry for the inconveniences caused. Please enjoy the delay as your vacation. Preparations are ready in the backside hall and let me serve you all with water. Avaira requests. As most of the guests accepted it, they started to walk towards water it machine. Avaira poured 1 liter water in it and it converted the water molecules into 4 liters. Avaira is managing somehow, and Chavik's 5 years of research is in real test. On the battlefield, Chavik started playing the sound waves, which is born out of his 5 years of research. He plays it in a particular sound ratio, and that drives his rival soldiers crazy. Some fainted, some shot themselves, and totally killed each other. Victory! Victory! He shouted in joy after defeating the enemies. I applied a cream on Dr. Deepak to miniature him and put him back in my wristwatch. Then I walked towards Ipam's room to get permission for leaving, because I'm already late for my wedding. In the hall, some of our soldiers are applying different creams on enemy soldiers to give them electrified sensation and pain. In the FM's office, all the generals and majors toasted champagne for the victory. I also toasted and got permission to leave. Jay helped me to set marriage office as the destination in my focal travel device. On the fifth second, the blink of light put me in the marriage office and Avaira is waiting for me in the entrance. Thank God you're here, she revived from tension. Yes, I am here, don't be tensed, I said. All the guests and marriage officer gathered. As the officer comes, the setting of the open hall turned into green lawn with chairs. Then the officer offered us helmets, then connected it. The power of Super Helmet gives them a chance to view each other's life. Avera is seeing through all his personal and professional life. She comes to know about his surgery and soundwave inventions, which are dangerous destroyers, but she accepts it as he's a loyal army general of peace-loving country who never attack until enemies call. Chavik's mind runs with their life incidents. Everything is pleasant, and some terrific parts are because of a white-hat hacker job. He also agrees to marry her. After half an hour, all the life and character reading is over. They have signed in the marriage forms, and they are married now. A couple of days later, Chavik and Avaira are ready for their post-wedding travel. They selected their favorite countries and monuments under the customized airline package so that they can switch into the focal travel device and can travel to the selected places. Chavik holds Avaira's hand and switches off the focal travel device after reaching Paris. As we are walking through the streets of Paris, I ask her, "Do you like it?" With a smile, Avaira answers, "Yes, I love it." Avaira lays her eyes on the sky where the visuals of magical lawn with beautiful rainbow is displayed. This colorful scenery makes the city more beautiful and calms down the stressed people. It attracted her so much. The scenery kept on changing timely. When they both halted at the coffee shop on the pavement of the Paris street, it has started to snow. Avaira touches the snow and her fingers have gone through it. This visual treat amazed her. I noticed that Deepak is missing. I checked my watch thoroughly, but he is not there. Now I understand that it might be a trap of someone, as I easily got him without any difficulties. Even my partial understanding scares me about the possible dangerous consequences. Deepak is not from the past and he is not the real Dr. Deepak. He is from the future of Chavik. He trapped Chavik by placing himself in the place of Dr. Deepak. I got it, Charvik. There are so many genius people in each planet, and not only you. He grinned at the screen from where he is observing Charvik and Avaira. His eyes on the screen and a flash disk in his hand, and he laughed loudly. Don't do this. If he is not alive, Avaira will turn into a monster, and all the females of this planet too. And I will also be dead. The real Dr. Deepak shouts from the locked up classroom. Then cooperate in my experiments without playing any tricks. The man is cunningly laughing. Charwick is in total confusion and trying to figure out the motives of that mysterious man, but it remains secret except to the real Dr. Deepak. So now, only miracles can save the universe from that man. Here ends my story, brushing, coding, fighting. Thank you all.
Hello everyone. Myself is Hemopriya and my co-authors P. Arunya and Guha A are happy to present you the short story Woe Against Tea Flowering. The story is narrated by myself is Hemopriya. Without any further ado, let us get into the story narration. This night, I felt difficulty in sleeping. So I moved upward from bed and I heard from my dearly Alexa giving me a reminder about an enduring day of my life. Alexa, today is 15th of October 2061, the day not to be forgotten. I feel the cold creeps, but there's no emotion behind Alexa's reminder. She said it flat, though I can't blame her. After all, she's just an automation. But that doesn't change the throb that goes on from head to toe when I think about 15th of October. It is 2061 now, and I came over about 40 years but still couldn't resist the way I feel on this particular day. As if I was gasping for breath, I went to Payaza to get some fresh air, and I saw my next door neighbor on the boulevard, fraternizing, and girls walk up late in blackness. And I visualized that back in years I would have been praying for any girls who jaunt alone to be safe back in home. And this reminded me about Mahatma Gandhi, who once notified that the day a woman can walk freely on the roads at night, that day we can say that India has achieved independence. Who am I even kidding? Back then women were not even safe to walk in the streets during daylight. With this notion on mind, I walked towards the kitchenette and turned on the espresso maker. Now with a cup of coffee, I walked into the lobby and sat on the couch. I heard voice from the past where I remembered who I was and the game changed. And those awful days vanished by my invention. This just proved nothing is forever except change. The major change over the years after my invention showed beyond doubt that there is no word called rape in current society, where female lives are free from danger. Alexa, Anya, call from Hagel. As I heeded the call, I heard Hagel screaming out of excitement. Mommy! How? When? Why didn't you even tell me about this? She asked. Will you stop enlightening me about what you're even asking? I shrieked. Don't try to fool me once more, Mom, as you don't know what's going on? She asked disappointedly. I don't know, Hagel. Can you be more visible about your talk? I asked. And she said, Mom, if you're not aware of the news, turn on the TV and see the news. I switched on the TV and came across the breaking news. My pupils stretched, and before even I could react to it, a message popped. Alexa, message from an unknown number to Anya. It should have been you all these years. This message seemed anonymous to Alexa, but I know who's behind all this. I remember where it all began. It was 2020. I was in high school and we had a farewell party late in the evening. Me and my bosom buddy were getting ready for a big party night. Swarsha had her date. She was all hot and bothered about that big night. We both were picked up by Swarsha's boyfriend Gayan. We three reached the farewell and we had a great time. To others' knowledge, my parents are indulgent but disciplinarian. So we had to leave the prom before 11 p.m. Since Gayan was tipsy, we had to leave him there to be picked up by his parents. Swarsha and I left the farewell post-haste. We had to walk the long way back home. On our way back home, this horrible incident happened. A group of guys were intoxicated and they were making noise and driving on the road. At the moment, Swarsha was telling me, Sis, I wondered what not happens when people are drunk like this. They even lose their mind and cause a lot of commotion and are lead to take part in a lot of crimes. Who's ever going to stop? Before she could even finish telling me, guys from a car pulled her in violently and drove faster. I was rigid. I lost my mind and was still hearing her asking for help. Anya, please help! She was screaming. I was dumbstruck. I called my dad and explained to him what exactly happened here. and started crying. He asked me to report this in the nearby police station and to stay safe there. With the help of cops, we were searching for Swarsha for about 3 nights, and it was on 6th October 2020 the cops found Swarsha's cadaver. And from the autopsy report, we came to know that she was brutally raped and was exerting herself for 2 days. Dear Diary, 15th October 2020. As you know, I lost my Swarsha, and her parents were undergoing the trauma of loss, whereas I was deeply worried and was missing her like no one other does. And I still wanted to do something about these serious issues that's been killing innocent souls. Last 2 days, I had to do funeral rituals and had to be there for her parents to pamper them. And I wanted to continue Swarsha's invention against deflowering. Swarsha will live with us forever in our hearts. It is October 15. Today, I am taking my vow against deflowering. And my high school days just passed like that. Then I applied for my colleges around the states and I got into Brits University. Surprisingly, Gayan got into Brits University. And as a fresher, it was a bit hard to adapt there. Later I got used to the environment. Few months later, I was sitting low-spirited in our usual spot where Gayan and I used to meet up after college. And he asked me why I was sitting with a saddened face. And I told him about how Swarsha's device got rejected. This device looks like a mini makeup kit. And on the either sides there are 2 press buttons and a folded knives attached to the right side, and the bottom press button will produce 30 mA current into the rapist body, and there is a camera which keeps recording each move of the girl, and underneath the device there are 3 colored buttons: red, orange and yellow. Once yellow button is pressed, it sends their parents the alert message and the location, and for red button it sends help message and the current location to the nearby police station. Since Swarsha's mission didn't last forever, I spent years on a drug, which is why I'm going to get this precious award. Gayan had a decent amount of knowledge in medical field, so it was pretty easy to explain him regarding my drug. The intention of my drug is to balance the testosterone level. To be precise, there are medicines to induce and suppress, but not to balance. So I just imagined, how would males get the urge to commit such an act if their testosterone level is neither high nor low but balanced forever? It would give them the control. This thought paved way for my secret drug. I went through a huge experiment. Prepared a hormone suppressor with the extract of phytoestrogen, then L-arginine drug made by me as an inducer. I mixed them both in equal proportion, but that experiment didn't work well. I know it was lacking something. Then I found this flower called Tishin in the rural part of Bajra village, about which I've studied in my classes. It has the power to create a balance in any experiment, irrespective of its kind. So I took the essence from the flower and added it. And it worked. I found tears falling down my cheeks. I just couldn't help it. At last, I found the drug which would put an end to all the crimes against girls. The struggle was, of course, too much. Gayan was with me throughout in bringing the balancer to public. Eventually, the government accepted the balancer and made it a rule to inject it to all the boys and males throughout India. And there, this foul play happened. I did not expect that Gayan would do such a thing for name and fame. Greed changed him. He made the world to believe that it was him who found the drug. He was prized by many great people and society. I was dumbstruck by his betrayal. But time somehow passed. The last time I saw Gayan was on the TV in an interview show. I just simply don't know why I did not make any attempt against his lie. Maybe I was just simply satisfied that my drug worked, and slowly other countries bought my balancer after being impressed with the change that happened in India. After 5 years, that is in 2025, according to the statistics, the rape cases were 0. Yes, in 2025, the world became rape-free. 2061, present. When I received a text from the unknown number, I knew it was Gayan, and I called him back to check on him and to ask, why now? As he picked it up, I heard his deep, familiar voice. It should have been you all these years, Anya. And silence prevailed for a few seconds. After a deep sigh, he continued. I was once living with name, fame, good family, properties, and what not. After my wife and my priceless daughter passed away in a terrible accident, they took away all my emotions and everything. The only thing which made me struggle was my guilt towards you. And now I made it up to you, Anya. So now I could enjoy your victory and my life peacefully. Please forgive me. He meant in a pleasing way. Without giving me a chance to talk, he hung up. October 31, 2061. It's been 15 days I saw the breaking news and talked to Gayan. A lot of things happened in these 15 days. I attended a lot of interviews, press meets and more. Now, I'm driving to get my award with my family. My daughter is still giving me that, I can't believe you did this look. To be honest, even I can't believe this is happening. When I think of my past, I wonder how well the days passed. When I was indulged in my thoughts, I felt my daughter's hand on my shoulder and she whispered excitedly, Mom, we arrived. The end. Thank you everyone for listening.
Hello everyone, this is Deepika with my friend Charulata, sophomores of English Literature. We are very happy to present our story titled Time is Unique in this 5th International Science Fiction Conference 2020. We hope you, the audience, will lend your ears for some time to hear our science fiction story. Life is full of mysteries and miracles. So many weird things are happening in everyone's life. One such thing happened in Adam's life as well. He is just a common man who led his life by working as an accountant in a finance company in Notre Dame, Paris. He never imagined his life will turn out to be an unbelievable story. Sometimes life is like a bed of roses, but we never realize that every rose has thorns in its twig. We used to curse our fate, not our actions, when we realize thorns in the rose. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So do our thoughts. He never thought about his future since his life is already a flat line. Even in cardiograph, a flat line meant for death. He never faced any peaks and valleys in his life. So he considered that his life is useless. He felt that he is good for nothing and can't do anything useful in his life. But life had another plan for him. No one will understand the flow of life since it is vicissitude. We, the people, can be able to understand the phases of life but not the flow of life since it is unpredictable. In every story there will be a hero, but the actual hero in our life is nothing but time. No one can fast forward or reverse the time. Time flies whether we are using it or not. Adam's daily routine is to work for 7 hours a day to earn his livelihood, nothing more. He never wanted to change this, but the time arrived to change his whole life. This turning point of his life is going to be unbelievable, but the experience which he got from this phase of life made him think how it happened. It may sound weird, but the truth always has its own taste. So, every human needs this phase to realize the purpose of their life. Now,
Adam is an ignorant person who lacks the knowledge of the intellectual world, but who knows that is certain. Finally, that life-changing day arrived in Adam's life on May 21st, 2018. It was raining heavily in Notre Dame. Without knowing anything, Adam was cursing his fate and feeling depressed resting on his sofa. His thoughts led him to think about the uncertainties of life and miracles. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck near his home and it created a wormhole. That uproarious thunder made him step out of his thoughts. He felt like that sound had cleared his mind and he went there to see what is it. It was a hole. He just peeked into the hole and next very moment he was in a different place. Before he was experiencing heavy rain, but now the sky is clear. He is not sure about where he is. It seems like his own place, but so many variations are there. His neighbors are different and he cannot recognize the people around him. He feels like he was in a dream, but it is not. He wandered through the streets and he is so confused because he cannot understand what is happening. He wondered whether that hole led him to the past or future, but he told himself that those things are impossible and it is just a fantasy. He wishes that it is a nightmare, but it is not. He keeps on walking through the streets of that place. After some time, he became tired. He wanted water badly to drink since he felt dehydrated. His eyes shuttered slowly and he fainted. So many people went to help him and they gave him the water. Slowly he regained his consciousness, but nothing has changed. He is still in that place, but this time a surprise was there for him. He saw a man who was similar to him in appearance. No flaws and similarities. Adam was curious to know who he is. But Adam was late. That man started walking in his way after helping him. He chased him and asked, "Who is he?" That man didn't show any change in his expression and introduced himself as Sebastian, and he is a programmer. Sebastian inquired him about himself and Adam introduced himself. But Adam felt that Sebastian's language is the same as his, but he sometimes struggles to understand his words since his words are mostly technical. They bid goodbye after some time and Adam continued exploring the city. On his way, he saw a library. He thought that the library is the only place to find the solution to all his questions. Adam cannot enter into the library since it is built by virtual reality technology. Adam doesn't know how to operate the system to enter into it. So Adam seeks the help of Sebastian. Sebastian helped him to use such technologies in the library. Sebastian arranged accommodation for Adam and he said that it is a virtual library where we can use the digital catalog to view the books over there. Adam was wondered hearing that since VR is considered as developing modern technology which is used for gaming in his place. Adam inquired Sebastian about that place, for which Sebastian answered that in this place every people has a unique chip which is the most advanced version of QR code. Sebastian told him that Adam needs a chip to live in that city. So Sebastian helped him to get a chip. With the help of that chip, he explored the city and found that he is in the parallel universe where everything was digitalized and even the houses are built by using developed construction technologies. Adam learned many technologies used there with the help of Sebastian. He lived there for 6 months. Now, his ability is equal to a data scientist in Paris. After 6 months, that place experienced its monsoon and there were thunderstorms everywhere. The thunderbolt teleported Adam to the place where he belongs to. And finally, After 6 months, he returned to his world, which seems to be a weird thing for him. His neighbors asked him where he was gone these days, for which he replied, I was in a parallel universe. That answer confused his neighbors, but no one was ready to accept that. They thought that he fibbed them. But some people believed him and encouraged him to tell them the whole story. And some people were ready to offer him money to make his ideas true. He accepted the sponsorship and constructed a laboratory for him. And he started thinking that how the thunderbolt teleported him to parallel universe. In order to know that, he tried to contact Sebastian using the chip which was given to him to live in that parallel universe. But he couldn't contact him. He couldn't find a reason for that, and he started his research to find out the answer for all his questions. He spent a couple of years in his research. Most of the time, his research led him to do so many queries and confusions. At last, he found the answer for his question that how to teleport from one universe to another possible. He is on cloud 9 because he explicitated the answer for his research. He used that technology for teleportation to the parallel universe to meet his friend Sebastian. Sebastian was over the moon to see his friend after a long time. He greeted him. Adam shared his past in his universe and he asked the reason why he couldn't contact him from his world. Sebastian explained that for every universe there was an unwritten rule that no one can interrupt the happenings in the other universe, and we all know only the 3 dimensions of our universe. But there is a virtual 4th dimension for each and every universe, which is nothing but the time. Time can never be altered by anyone. The time is the only boundary in which the concept of parallel universe exists. This is the reason why you cannot contact me. Now, Adam understood the most complicated concept of time and also realized that no one can predict the flow of life. Let's end the story here. We believe that every end is a new beginning of a good thing. So, this end be the good beginning of our budding authors like us. Thank you all for this wonderful opportunity, and of course, thank you all for your patience.
Quantum Warriors. This fictional story is all about how the quantum technologies such as quantum teleportation, quantum cloning, quantum erasers, and quantum illumination could be demonstrated in fictional stories, predicting that soon all of these can be transformed to reality with the fast developments in these areas of physics. I would like to share a few information about quantum teleportation. The term quantum teleportation was coined by physicist Charles Bennett. This idea of quantum teleportation was first published in Physics Review Letters by Charles Bennett and al. in 1993. From then on, this idea has been expanded and explored and experimented. In 1997, Austrian scientists experimentally demonstrated quantum teleportation, teleportation of a polarization state of photon. In 2017, in the paper Ground to Satellite Quantum Teleportation by Yang Liu and al., published in Nature, have reported the first quantum teleportation of 2 independent single photon qubits from ground observatory to a low Earth orbit satellite through an uplink channel with distance up to 1,400 km with an average fidelity of 0.80. The story starts in Austria where Alice is visited by her friend Glenn. Alice and her partner Bob used to work on human teleportation experiments together in the lab. Alice starts to recall the past and travel upgrades that she helped innovate and narrates it to Glenn. To continue further trials, Bob had left Earth and had set up a base in Kepler 10b, which is around 500 light years away from the Earth. Bob finds his way to Kepler 10b with the shared entangled pairs of the quantum suits prepared by Alice. Bob had designed his spaceship sensors to track wormholes. The wormholes would enable him minimize the distance and reach planet Kepler 10b faster. Suddenly, Alice, along with all others present in the lab, hear loud explosions and tremors around the laboratory. Zelinga peeps out through the window carefully to avoid being seen by the creatures and identifies them as typhoons. To ensure their survival, the team decides to teleport themselves using Alice's upgraded quantum suits. After they had landed on Kepler 10b, they find ways of attacking the typhoons. Meanwhile, the team realized that the atmosphere in the planet Kepler 10b do not have enough oxygen to sustain everyone. Hence, they had to make their way back to the Earth. But fearing the typhoons, they had to plan a clear strategy of destroying them. Hence, they try adopting different quantum tools and be well equipped in facing the typhoons. The team of physicists find a way to attack typhoons by making their human form invisible to them using the technique of quantum erasers, deleting the reflected path of the photon. They manage to deflect the path of the reflected light before it reaches the typhoons and go invisible to them. Hence, their presence will not be detected. Since the typhoons were very large in number, they had to adopt a new tool with an appropriate unitary transformation being used for quantum cloning, and if fidelity of 1 is achieved, perfect copying is possible. Fidelity is a measure of the quality of the cloned copies of the quantum state. Hence, they designed quantum cloning machines according to their requirement. Having a total of 50 in their team, excluding Bob, and with the principle of quantum superposition and entanglement, the memory size of their suit can be increased to 2 to the power of 50. And also, if each of the 50 in the team had a scalability of 10, by adopting quantum cloning, their number reaches 2 to the power of 500, which could form a very large troop in defeating the typhoons. Well equipped with quantum tools, the team telecloned to Earth to fight the typhoons. They slew the typhoons, those fell at their sight. Later, Danny observes that the typhoons seem to have set up a new military base in the deep mountain gorges. Eventually, the team of clones tracked the remaining typhoons with sensors that use interaction-free measurement tool called quantum illumination, quantum seeing in the dark. After defeating the typhoons with the developed quantum tools, all the clones teleport back to Kepler 10b wearing their quantum suits. Finally, through the process of reverse cloning, they return back to their originality. But Glenn, friend of Alice, goes missing. This is because one of his clone did not return to Kepler 10b, and that is why his originality could not be retrieved. Again, the team teleports back to Earth, this time in search of Not a typhoon, but a clone, the clone of Glenn. These are the references used in framing this fictional story. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 7th session of the 19th Annual International Science Fiction Conference. I'm Shweta, Taneja, an author and journalist, and I'm quite excited to be the chairperson of the session. This explores upcoming writers and their science fiction imaginations. Along with the talented science fiction writer Sapna Katti from Pune, I welcome you all. Before we plunge into the lovely stories that have come to me to talk about today evening with you all, let me talk about how my interest in science fiction has emerged and what I would like to do with these stories, how I would like to think about them. My interest in science fiction is to understand our own society through the lens of alternate worlds and reality. When I'm building a world in a speculative work of art, I want to find out how people in that world relate to each other. How is it different from our world? What are the similarities? It's about looking beyond the technology, beyond the science, to understand how that particular technology, say space travel or the ability to time travel, or the ability to communicate with creatures different than ourselves, how does that change us as individuals and collectively as a society? I hope to look at all the submissions that have come to me today through this lens. Is the world building solid? I would like to see that in every story. Is the world building the kind where I'll be like, wow, this is an alternate world that I would like to plunge into? I would also like to see whether, well, there might be a lot of jargon or futurist technology, but has the creator thought about how societies have changed in the future because of that technology or not? And how have social constructs like families and relationships changed in the future? I also want to find out how well someone presents a story. After all, I'm here to be entertained, right? Aren't you all? So I would like to be entertained by every story that I see. Does the story pull me into the world that they have created out of my own personal and pandemic concerns? Does it give me something to think about, something to ponder on? Does the story change me as a reader, as a writer? Finally, I would like to talk about the narrative, the plot, and the characters themselves. I really look forward to the submissions and taking them through with you, all of you, and reviewing them. So I want to see more women writing speculative fiction. I think it's kind of a thing that diversity in fiction brings out how we collectively can reimagine our futures, and that is one of my dreams of writing as well. I feel convinced that we do need diverse imaginations of our future to find hidden gems in our collective idea of a society. Today we have 6 stories to review. So let's start with the first of them. The first is Time is Unique by Deepika and Charulata. I'll just give you a little summary of this story and then kind of talk about what worked in the story for me and what could have been developed further. The protagonist is Adam, who works in accounting in Paris. He encounters a wormhole and, like Alice in Wonderland, kind of falls into this hole. He reaches a alternate tech-oriented universe which has chip-embedded humans. Virtual reality is a norm. Everything is digitized. He's confused. He's thirsty, and so he falls on the ground. A person helps him and introduces himself as Sebastian. He also happens to be a programmer. Through Sebastian, Adam learns how the city works. He also gets embedded with a chip which he needs to enter everywhere in the city. He lives there for 6 months and then kind of through a thunderstorm magically is transported back into his own reality. Now the current reality seems banal to him. When he tells people around him that he was in a parallel universe, People give him money and say, okay, research and find out how we can go there. So for years he researches, fails, and finally he manages to develop a technology for teleportation and meet his friend Sebastian. That's the story, and I really enjoyed the visual presentation in this story, and the fact that the story had subtitles, which really helped people who probably have are challenged in in physical ways. While the presentation was decent, the creators could have maybe worked on developing the story more. 3 minutes of the story were spent in talking about how Adam's life is boring and how it is about to change. And then when I also thought that there was a lot of technology mentioned, but there was no involvement in deep thinking into the nuances of the imagined world, how that has changed its people and how it would change Adam really. You have to show me the world you've imagined. You have to show me how the characters think. Don't tell me what the characters are thinking. Show, don't tell. Isn't that the best way to tell a story? I would also suggest maybe choosing a protagonist from your own world around you. Write about a story that talks about the people around you and not base it in a faraway place, in alternate universe. If you're starting from Paris, maybe you could have started in India, is all I'm saying. But overall, it was an enjoyable story, and thanks for sharing it with me, Deepika and Charulata. The second story that I will talk about is called The Benevolent Communication with Talis by Shobhya and Dharani. It starts in the year 2050 in a French-named city in India, which I quite liked. Which has a strange going on at nights. The protagonist is Anand, who is a scientist, a failed scientist maybe, and wants to find out what strange happenings are happening at night in his city. So he, along with a scientist called Mr. Miraculous, which could have been better, researches and finds that aliens in spacecrafts hover in the city's sky and only come out at nights. He tries different methods to communicate with these aliens, and after a lot of failure facing in personal life as well as professional life, kind of develops a translator called Talis Translator, and eventually becomes friends with the aliens and wins appreciation from his family and society. The story for me, that's the end, and the story for me kind of ended abruptly and had some really cute urban legends of alien sightings around the world, things that I have researched in the past for one of my stories, which was nice to see. I like the idea that the storytellers imagined what it would be like to live in a city in the future in India 2050 and to look at aliens at that time, to communicate with them. I do wish that they had spent more time thinking about the nuances of this future, as there were quite a few questions unanswered, like why did the aliens come out only in the night? Why were they hanging out in the sky in this particular city? What did they want? That's something that never came out in the story for me. But it was a good start, and I wish the creators all the best. See you soon. The story I'm going to talk about is called Brushing, Coding, Fighting by Pavitra. Let me start by saying it's a lovely visualization of the story. The tale begins 2 hours before the wedding of Avira and Charvik. Charvik is a scientist who invented something called tree soldiers or soldier trees. Both words are used alternatively in the story. Charvik has to take care of wounded tree soldiers, and he's called by his team while his AI assistant is helping out, making sure Avira doesn't panic because it's just 2 hours to the wedding. Charvik protects his beloved trees from dying, saves the world from the enemy. and kind of wins it. And meanwhile, Avera is making sure all attendees have water, immersive VR entertainment. And at the last minute, towards the end, they get married. Everything is happy and smooth at the end. It was an entertaining story. I like the fact that the creator imagined trees that can convert into soldiers, and they're fighting some kind of unnamed enemy. And there was a lot of like scientific jargon thrown in: AI assistants, tree soldiers, hologram marriages, clones who attend clones of rich people who attend weddings, and rich people are like secluded and safe now. It was fun as a science fiction story, I think, and I like the fact that there were dialogues as well, which has been missing in most of the stories that I have been reviewing. Dialogues, I think, allow characters to speak for themselves, allow for a little bit of humor, a little bit of personality to come out and make it a fun story. I do wish, like Charvik, Avira, the female character, the female protagonist, had an equal part in this adventure. What if Avira had been the scientist and Charvik was waiting at the altar? This swap would have been much more interesting to play with. But overall, I like the pace, the fact that it was 2 hours and there's like this whole circle of adventure that is happening before the 2 hours end happens. Kind of gave a racy feel to the story, which was quite enjoyable. The fourth story I'm going to review is called The Missing Human by Sapna. It's one of the few stories which looks like it has been inspired by the recent pandemic. Much like COVID, a virus has hit the population of Earth, which has killed half of its humans. In this situation, and the protagonist is Arjun, who's half human and half alien, he, along with a doctor called Dr. Ajay, is trying to find a vaccine that can save humans. Thrown into this, like, really a lot of action mix is a love angle, a kidnapping, an evil alien who plans to wipe off the human population, an accident, the protagonist losing his memory. After a face-off with the final enemy, Arjun manages to, save the world, the humans, and win his love. Overall, the story felt like a mishmash, but a very Indian mishmash, with all kinds of emotions explored. I like that about the plot. But I do wish it had been visualized better, and there had been some innovation in the video. It was just like, the story was presented as is, with just a voice narration. And again, in this story as well, I wish there was a woman in this somewhere, like Riya, the female love interest of Arjun. The only role she has in this story is to have like a few love exchanges with Arjun, maybe go on a little adventure for Arjun. What I want to see is more sass, more intelligence, more power in female characters, which I thought was like not there much. But overall, a really entertaining story. The last story that I'm going to talk about in this is called Vow Against Deflowering by Hemapriya, Arunya, and Guha. This was one of the first, only first-person narratives in all the submissions that have come to me. It was a refreshing change, as first-person narratives are quite powerful in expressing and in reflecting in the futurist world that you are creating, especially in short stories as a medium. The story opens in 2061, where the protagonist is reflecting on her life. She remembers how her friend was raped and murdered in 2020, and that set her off on the path of an invention to make sure that her society is protected against this violence on women, really. The story goes on to explain how the protagonist, then led by her friend's death develops a medicine to control testosterone levels in men so they do not become overly sexual. And this medicine is called Balancer, and which leads into a dramatic reduction of rapes into the future, making women's lives, especially at night or during the day, or it's safer. It's a safer society. And that's how it kind of ends. It was a hard hitting story. I think one of the only stories that explored current challenges in our society, and tried to imagine a technology which could tackle an issue of gender and violence. I really liked it for that kind of an imagination, a vision of the future, that we could have a better future thanks to a solution by a scientist, a scientific solution. So you are not talking dystopia or war with aliens or time travel or just gadgets. You're talking about real change in the way your society is and how you would like to imagine it. I also like the fact that the protagonist is a woman and she's the one who's developing this research. She's studying, she's focused on this technology, and how the violent experience she had in high school changed her forever. So this is all I have in my bag of goodies today. Thank you for listening to my thoughts on these stories. I would also like to thank the organizers for bringing me on board, and Smita and Sangeeta, who have worked tirelessly on this session. I hope you enjoyed listening to the session, and if you'd like to get in touch with me, share thoughts and questions, please, you can find me online with my handle at Shweta Writes. To all the creators out there, and this is my last message, I promise. I wish you all the best in your careers, and I hope you keep writing and imagining a different future for everyone through your fiction. Till then, enjoy the conference, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.